we go. Good evening. Officially, we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. We may still have some other folks coming, but it is Tuesday, August 20th. And boy, it's back to school time and stuff, isn't it? Of course, I don't know if that's an issue so much for people in our age group. It's not probably as impactful as it used to be when we were young parents and raising kids and stuff like that. But at any rate, it just signals another change in the seasons and that. We've been together since January, and we should finish the Course in Miracles, in 1 year. So by the end of this year. And then after that, we'll start the 2 supplements to the course, psychotherapy and Song of Prayer, and that'll probably take another 6 months. Are you too tired to make it through?
No.
It's a compelling book, isn't it?
Very much.
And full of surprises, because last week we reached a momentous occasion where we finished the text and started the manual for teachers. Well, tonight we reach a second major milestone where we have finished part 1 of the workbook for students. And now we're starting part 2 of the workbook for students. And you've been through this before. The second part of the workbook is quite different than in terms of how it's formatted and designed, isn't it? We covered 220 lessons, and then we start lesson 1 or lesson 221. Have I got that right? Are we on lesson 221? Ooh, wait a minute. I'd have us on lesson 225. Is that where you guys are?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. So we hit lesson 221 sometime last week when you were doing just the days on your own. But at any rate, I'm making confusion out of something that I don't need to confuse. Why don't we get started on the agenda? I see Sherilyn's made it amongst us. And let's get her to unmute herself and see if she's available. Are you there?
Yeah.
All right. Did you use the link I sent you through the email or no?
Yes, finally I did, because I
All
couldn't
right.
make anything else
So
work.
we know we always got a backup when it gets
Yeah.
a little frustrating. No worries.
Okay.
I'm glad you made it, partner.
Me
And you're
too.
just in time. We are in the workbook for students, everyone. On page 398, the introduction to workbook part 2. So we've got a lot to talk about. Why don't we assign our readers and get on into it, okay? Sherilyn, you were trying to get in before. That's how you made number 1 on my list.
Oh, all
So
right.
you'll be reader 1, Ron reader 2, Nancy 3, No Hilda, Frank, reader 4, and we may have some other people. Why don't we get started and see if we got more readers after number 4? Is that all right?
Yes. Now, are we on part 2 introduction
We are.
on
And
398? Way.
excellent, dear.
Okay, here we go. Words will mean little now. We use them, but as guides on which
Hey,
we do not.
wait. You were with us last night. So
Yes.
we know, but Sherilyn had a fall,
Oh,
and that's the marks on her face.
I'm sorry.
yes,
Right.
show.
Still beautiful regardless, but if something looks different,
Thank you.
and you're still recovering well, dear, from that?
Yes, I am, and I look much better today than I did yesterday. So
Yeah, it's
getting
getting
better.
there, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, I thought it bore further explanation because a lot of folks here aren't on our Monday night call.
Oh,
right.
okay. I see.
Well,
All right.
Go ahead, we're ready.
Okay. Words will mean little now. We use them, but as guides on which we do not now depend. For now we seek direct experience of truth alone. The lessons that remain are merely introductions to the times in which we leave the world of pain and go to the enterplace, and go to enter peace. Now we begin to reach the goal this course has set and find the end toward which our practicing was always geared.
Thank you. Ron,
Mhm.
number 2.
Number 2. Now we attempt to let the exercise be merely a beginning, for we wait in quiet expectation for our God and Father. He has promised he will take the final step himself, and we are sure his promises are kept. We have come far along the road, and now we wait for him. We will continue spending time with him each morning and at night, as long as makes us happy. We will not consider time a matter of duration now. We use it as much as hourly remembrance in between, calling to God when we have need of him, as we are tempted to forget our goal.
So, you seeing anything there? Paragraphs 1 or 2? What's the message of paragraph 1?
It's that we don't need guides as much now. We're going to depend on our experience of truth alone by spending time
Yeah,
alone with God.
yeah. And just so I'm clear in more lay terms, it's just the first sentence, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to use words so much. That's going to be one of the features of what we're getting into now. We're going to drop all the explanation and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the message of the second paragraph, would you say?
We
More
need to
time,
continue.
more time listening to God.
Frank, go ahead.
I said more in terms of listening to and from God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, but paragraph 2. We're going to spend more time listening to God. That's definitely one of the ideas. What else does he say in that paragraph? Because I think it's important.
Well, we are to call to him when we need him.
I think the important thing for as far as I'm concerned, is where he says we use as much as we will need as far as time is concerned, and I think that's an important aspect of it. That
Mhm.
Yeah,
we need not look and saying, oh, 5 minutes are up, or in 5 minutes we stop. That's not
Right.
what it
Yeah.
is intended to be.
and I start seeing that brought out in sentence 6.
Right.
We will continue spending time with him. What's the requirement now? He's going to tell you the new requirement.
As long as it makes us happy.
All right. So I'm not going to give you set time frames, but the suggestion, at least, is try and do morning and evening, but just as long as it makes you happy. Yes?
Right.
Right.
Why does he think that's enough now? Why can't he drop restrictions? Go ahead.
Why can't he drop restrictions?
Why is
I
he
thought he,
feeling like he should be able to drop some of the previous
yeah,
requirements? Why?
Because our ego interferes with us.
or it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
I think
I
he's
think he's betting that
probably,
you learn how not to let the ego interfere
yeah,
with you as much.
Right.
The motivation that ought to be in you now, with all those lessons in the first part, is I think you'll stick with this because it makes you happy. Because you've seen it be inviting, that something about it feels like it's working in you. That's what all those other lessons were for. To meet the conditions to move from discussion into experience. He's explained kind of what you have to do, right? And he's given you practice time trying to get into the zone, right? And by now, I'm thinking he's betting that you found that rewarding enough that it made you at least glimpses of happiness to the point that you'll want to do more without so much prompting, coaching, discipline, instruction. Just because it'll make you, because you like it.
mhm,
So I think we have a better awareness, like when we're happy. That's possibly a new awareness for us. So when we're happy, we know we're doing the right thing.
And then you'll try it again because you like it.
Yes.
All right. So before, I'm an authority figure of sorts. They call me Jesus. So here's, I'm going to lay out some ground rules for you, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm saying you don't need those crutches anymore. Just say a word of welcome and wait for your Heavenly Father through the Holy Spirit, because he thinks he's awakened your awareness of the voice by now. How am I doing with this?
So far, so good.
Very good.
Okay. So paragraph 1, I'm going to drop all the props. And I'm just going to count that you'll do this because you like it. You like the results. No further discussion? We're off to a good start.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, Nancy, are you reading tonight?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
All right, thank you.
Paragraph 3. We will continue with the central thought for all the days to come, and we will use that thought to introduce our times of rest and calm our minds at need. Yet we will not content ourselves with simple practicing in the remaining holy instance which conclude the year that we have given God. We say some simple words of welcome and expect our Father to reveal himself as he has promised. We have called on him, and he has promised that his Son will not remain unanswered when he calls his name.
And then we're at Frank, right?
Now do we come to him, ready?
Yes.
Now do we come to him with but his word upon our minds and hearts, and wait for him to take the step to us that he has told us through his voice. He would not fail to take when we invited him. He has not left his Son in all his madness, or betrayed his trust in him. Has not his faithfulness earned him the invitation that he seeks to make us happy? He will offer it, and it will be accepted. So our times with him will now be spent. We say the words of invitation that his voice suggests, and then we wait for him to come to us.
And so is that in line with the first two paragraphs now?
Mhm.
So here's how this second part is put together. How about I be reader 5? I'll do paragraph 5. Now is the time of prophecy fulfilled. Now are all the ancient promises upheld and fully kept. No step remains for a time to separate from its accomplishment, for now we cannot fail. Sit silently and wait upon your Father. He has willed to come to you when you have recognized it is your will he do so. And you could have never come this far unless you saw, however dimly, that this is your will. And why don't we go back to Sherilyn for 6 and then discuss? Is that okay?
Okay. Paragraph 6. I am so close to you, we cannot fail. Father, we give these holy times to you in gratitude to him who taught us how to leave the world of sorrow in exchange for its replacement given us by you. We look not backward now, we look ahead and fix our eyes upon the journey's end. Accept these little gifts of thanks from us as through Christ's vision we behold a world beyond the one we made, and take that world to be the full replacement of our own.
So how about 5 and 6? Anything there?
He's just reaffirming, reassuring us that we can do these things, proceed in what he suggests. He says, look not backward now, just look ahead.
So have you realized some things since workbook lesson 1? Or seen things you thought you knew more clearly this time, or even more clearly? Yeah. So it's like, how many times have it's like it gets deeper, right? It's an amazing book because the more you read it, how far how far does the rabbit hole go? How much, if you read it 300 times over and over, would you get bored or would you still be going, oh my God, okay, I got it. I've been doing it all. Oh, no. So where would you get saturated? How far down the rabbit hole do you think this goes in terms of realizing more? Like, how much more is there? You ever wonder, starting to wonder, does this thing have a bottom? Comment, someone saying.
I don't find that thought.
That
Yeah, Cheryl, was that you? I didn't quite hear what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I don't find that thought unpleasant or frightening to think there was no end to it. I think it could get better and better and better.
Yeah, how many things have you come across that have that kind of better potential?
Not many. None, probably.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I remember, maybe because I'm a sex fiend or something, but I remember when I read The Disappearance of the Universe, and
Mhm.
Gary asked Artin and Persa, tell me more about this bliss state. And I think it was the woman, Persa. She said, well, Gary, think of the biggest orgasm you've ever had or can think of. She said, you got that in mind, Gary? Frank, you read this book 2 or 3 times by now.
I'm my third time reading it.
Look for that. It's right at the beginning.
I've seen that part.
And she says, Persa says to Gary, okay, you got that image, Gary? Gary says, yeah, I got it. And she says, now imagine it never stops. Are you getting the idea
Yeah.
of how much joy this is capable of producing? Anyhow, could you stand it? No, but never could stay, can't even fathom it, right?
Right.
You gotta come down sometimes. All right, I hope that I didn't digress too far here from my, my normally conservative nature. Anything else, paragraphs 5 or 6? All right, lesson 7 said, I see only the past. Apparently, Jesus thinks we've come far enough that we're able to kind of, at least at moments, leave everything behind, right?
Yeah.
All right, why don't we keep going, huh? Rep Ron, right?
Yes, 7. And now we wait in silence, unafraid and certain of your coming. We have sought to find our way by following the guide you sent to us. We did not know the way, but you did not forget us. And we know that you will not forget us now. We ask but that your ancient promises be kept, which are your will to keep. We will with you in asking this. The Father and the Son, whose holy will created all that is can fail in nothing. In this certainty, we undertake these last few steps to you and rest in confidence upon your love, which will not fail the Son who calls to you.
So Ron, you were with us last night on ACIM Talks, and Sherilyn, you were there too.
Yes.
And we're in that study of ACIM and unity,
Mhm.
the comparison of unity principles and the Course in Miracles.
Yes.
And in that book, they were talking about the Holy Trinity and about the three persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that make up the Holy Trinity, right, Ron? You remember?
Right.
that one?
Yes.
Do you see it here? It says, the Father and the Son, whose holy will created all that is. Remember last night we were talking about God being the creator, and God creates through ideas. But it said God ideates and we think. Do you remember that phrase? We talked about it a lot.
Yes.
Okay, the ideation is the idea. It is the latent, dormant power that can fuel whatever. But what it fuels is through thought. And we are the vehicles of thought.
Thought.
We're the ones that use the fuel to express it. And remember, when we express it, it's within the relative realm. It'll appear as many different things, but they're all expressions of the ideation. There is nothing else but this source, this ideation. And we are the vehicles that utilize it, that bring it to life. Do you know what I mean? Latent, it's pure energy potential. And they also said the nature of this ideation is what its creator is, and everything that brings it to life, what it ideates, how we use it, it can only have the characteristics of the source from which it came. Now I'm making Monday night too complicated for Tuesday night. We had enough trouble with this last night. But what reminded me of it was paragraph 7, sentence 7, the Father, the idea, and the Son who activates these ideas, whose holy will created you. I'm sorry. The Father and the Son, whose holy will created all that is, can fail in nothing. So do you see him referring to that same relationship between the ideation and the power of thought that we have to show variations of that ideation? What is the ideation based on? Anybody remember? It starts with an L, and then it's all right, okay. the ideation is based on love, right?
Mhm.
So anything that comes from this energy has to be loving. Anything that does not cannot be real. Isn't that what we read last night? So here's a different context for it, but that was a reminder to me of what we talked. You need the theory, the idea, and a vehicle for its application. That's us. Am I finally hitting home better with this point? Because I'm getting
Yeah.
ready to move on. Comments about what I just said?
Bravo.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
It's getting clearer. Then are we up to, I don't know, who are we up to?
I think I'm
Yes.
reading.
Yes, Nancy.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, paragraph 8. And so we start upon the final part of this one holy year, which we have spent together in the search for truth in God, who is its one creator. We have found the way he chose for us and made held us up. His thoughts have lit the darkness of our minds. His love has called to us unceasingly since time began.
And so let's go on to Frank.
We had a wish that God would fail to have the Son whom we created for himself. We wanted God to change himself and be what we would make of him, and believe that our insane desires were the truth. Now we are glad that this is all undone, and we no longer think illusions true. The memory of God is shimmering across the wide horizons of our minds. A moment more, and it will rise again. A moment more, and we who are God's sons are safely home, where he would have us be.
Now is the need for practice almost done. For in this final section, we will come to understand that we need only call to God and all temptations disappear. Instead of words, we need but feel his love. Instead of prayers, we need but call his name. Instead of judging, we need but be still and let all things be healed. We will accept the way God's plan will end as we receive the way it started. Now it is complete. This year has brought us to eternity. Comments? 8 or 9? I'm sorry, 9 or 8, 9 or 10.
Hmm.
Bob, somebody say something? Was there a comment? My only comment is that he assumes a lot about us. Have we really come that far, guys? He's pretty confident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Why
in
aren't
paragraph
we as confident?
Say it again, Jim.
Why aren't we as confident as he appears to be? This year has brought us to eternity. I've been doing this 20 years. How about you? Boy, has he got more confidence in me than I. Is it just me, or What are your impressions? Maybe he sees more progress than we do. Why do you think that might be? What are some of the reasons we don't quite see it as confidently? I'm wondering if it starts with an E.
Ego?
No,
I'm just speculating, right? But
Probably so.
so I'm just gonna have faith that Jesus knows what he's talking about. He's been making sense so far in amazing ways. It's really corrected. He makes his case very well if you listen. So at any rate, I don't want to beat that in the ground. Let's go on to the very last paragraph because it has some important messages of instruction, at least to me. Who's next for 11?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
no.
Excellent. One further use for words we still retain. From time to time, instructions on a instructions on a theme of special relevance will intersperse our daily lessons and the periods of wordless, deep experience which should come afterwards. These special thoughts should be reviewed how many times?
Each day.
Each day,
Each one of them to be continued each day, I'm assuming, till the next is given you. They should be slowly read and thought about a little while, preceding one of the holy and blessed instants in the day. We give the first of these instructions now. I call these special things. And there are 14 of them. And that's why every day, here's the approach to part 2 of the workbook. Every day I read first the special theme that we're on. You see it on page 401. What
Right.
is forgiveness? And then the lesson for the day. So today we're on lesson
25.
225. So this morning I read what is forgiveness in lesson 225. Tomorrow, what do I do?
no. Let's see.
It's not a trick. Okay.
No, I know it.
Tomorrow I read what is forgiveness, and then I do lesson 226. The next day I do what is forgiveness,
Goodness.
and then lesson 227.
7.
And then what is forgiveness 228 the next day, right? What is
Yes.
forgiveness 229? What is forgiveness 230? And then, what's next?
What is salvation?
Salvation.
What is salvation? And 231. What is does that make, isn't that what he said to do?
Yes.
If you
Are
say
you
so.
So if you're not doing it that way, that's why I bring it up. Okay, you're going to get more out of it if you do it that way. All right.
Okay.
So these are daily introductions. But if you look at these 14 themes, he's answering some of the deep questions that he anticipates you're going to have, and gives a nice, beautiful summary answer to the question. So in the manual for teachers, we're dealing with question answer, right? And here's some of the same teaching technique going on in the second part of the workbook. So boy, we're getting worked on, right? Lessons within lessons, techniques within techniques. It's a very deep psychological mind training, isn't it? There's a lot more to this than the words, you see. That's all I'm trying to point out. We feeling good about it?
Right.
All right.
Yes.
We're back to Sherilyn. We're going to do the special theme and the lesson for today. The special theme is on page 401, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right.
Okay. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. It does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees there was no sin, and in that view are all your sins forgiven. What is sin except a false idea about God's Son? Forgiveness merely sees its falsity and therefore lets it go. What then is free to take its place is now the will of God.
And let's go to Ron.
An unforgiving thought is one which makes a judgment that it will not raise to doubt, although it is not true. The mind is closed and will not be released. The thought protects projection, tightening its chains so that distortions are more veiled and more obscure, less easily accessible to doubt, and further kept from reason. What can come between a fixed projection and the aim that it has chosen as its wanted goal?
Why don't we do all of it and then we can talk about it? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Nancy?
Paragraph 3, an
Yes.
unforgiving thought does many things. In frantic action, it pursues its goal, twisting and overturning what it sees as interfering with its chosen path. Distortion is its purpose and the means by which it would accomplish it as well. It sets about its furious attempts to smash reality without concern for anything that would appear to pose a contradiction to its point of view.
And who's next? Keep going. We got 5, right?
Forgiveness, on the other hand, is still and quietly does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality, or seeks to twist it to what's that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Clearing my throat. Sorry.
On the other hand, is still and quietly does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality, nor seeks to twist it to appearances it likes. It merely looks and waits and judges not. He who would not forgive must judge, for he must justify his failure to forgive. But he who would forgive himself must learn to welcome truth exactly as it is.
Do nothing then, and let forgiveness show you what to do. Through him who is your guide, your savior and protector, strong in hope and certain of your ultimate success. He has forgiven you already, for such is his function given him by God. Now you must share his function and forgive whom he has saved, whose sinlessness he sees, and whom he honors as the Son of God. Here, look at lesson 268 right quick. That's what it made. I want to, maybe it's a app summary. I'm trying to get to it right quick so I don't delay everything. Whoever get 268, whoever gets there first.
60.
Let all things be exactly as they are.
Yeah, that's what it made me think. It's on 429. Can you do that?
Go ahead, read it.
No. Can you let all things be exactly as they are?
I'm working on it.
Me too.
I'm trying to.
In a
Agreed.
nutshell, that's what forgiveness is. Let all things be as they are. What do you think, they're at random?
No. The lessons.
Let all things be as they are. Say yes to everything. Now, you can even say no in a way that's really saying yes. I'll participate in this relationship, but I'm free to decline whatever it's offering today. It doesn't fit well with me today. But I'm not mad at them. It's that I'm still trying to learn what all of this, where this is going. How else can you find out where it's going other than let it be?
Right.
And wherever it's going, it's not up to me. The only thing I can count on is what? Is that in the end, it's going to be bad?
Neutral.
What it was meant to be.
Losing you. I'm losing you.
It's going to be what?
Okay, hold on. The only thing I can count on is that if I give it a chance, it's supposed to be for my good. For we know that all things work together for good, right? You've heard this?
Yeah.
Look at lesson 292 then, if you want to see it again. It's on page 444. Somebody read that lesson title.
A happy outcome to all things is sure.
He didn't mean most things
All things,
or some things
all things.
or few. Isn't that what you saw in the Bible?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Romans 8:28, I think?
I've heard it before.
And now here it is again. And what about lesson 101 that we did study, or what was that title say?
God's will for me is perfect happiness.
You must mean God said, my will for you is to be happy most of the time, right? That's what he
Yes.
meant, right?
Right.
Yes.
Did he mean most of the time, Nancy?
No.
No,
You used
not
the
all
word
the time.
perfect. I'm sorry. Go ahead, dear. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Am I confusing everybody?
I just said he wants us to be happy all the time.
And God doesn't want, God wills.
Right. You're right.
Now, how many places have we heard this?
Probably many.
What choice do we have ultimately? Because I can't change that. Can you?
No.
I mean, this is the same one that runs the universes and the planets, and they don't be bumping all into each other. They don't run in chaotic fashion. They all seem to kind of, oh man, it works, right? Yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
yep,
Yep.
So it can't be that stupid. And he keeps saying all things work together for good. What else can I do keeping it real?
Let go, let God.
Yay! I'm just saying, I'm just being frank is just keeping it real, right, buddy? So, to get back to what we were talking about on 401, the key here, what should you do in stressful, disappointing, devastating situations?
nothing.
Do nothing then.
Okay. Do nothing then, and let forgiveness show you what to do through he who is your guide and protector. And Frank will go back to lesson 135, which is our personal favorite by now, because I want to show you here's how you handle all distressing situations. And I think it's like lesson 135. I'm confusing myself. And it's right in paragraph 11. Frank, would you read that first sentence, please?
Paragraph 11.
Yeah, the first two sentences.
A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plan that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own.
So how do you access that wisdom? What's the first thing you have to do? You have to be still. I can't, okay. Instead of reacting now, I've learned to always count to 10 first. Isn't that the same as being still?
Yes,
And letting forgiveness show you what to do through him who is your guide, your savior, your protector. It's the same voice, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when our ego acts up, it's the old knee-jerk response that we've been taught. Well, this is a time when you practice not getting caught up in the illusion. Boy, I got a cough. Not getting caught up in the illusion again. What are your thoughts? Because I'm making myself sick here.
I had a situation this afternoon, Jim, about 2 hours before our meeting, and I thought to myself in a phone call, that someone was pushing my buttons and I was annoyed. And
Yes.
I wanted to get out of the phone call.
Yes.
I called a friend, but then as I talked about it, I said, well, I'm pushing my buttons. And I let it go. Well, I thought someone was doing it. I was doing it to me, and I let go and let God.
Beautiful. And thank you for that segue for me, Frank. Let's go back to paragraph 1 of this special theme, what is forgiveness? It's a rather astonishing statement, isn't it? Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. How is that possible? You got to connect the dots from.
Because it's an illusion. It's not real.
You're not here. So how could it happen in truth? You already knew this? That's what he meant by forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. How can he say that?
I didn't like it.
You tell me more. What do you mean? You didn't like that he said that?
Well, my ego mind said, I don't like this. And then
Right.
I paused. And then I thought, no, I'm doing it to me. I'm doing it to myself.
Because the truth of the matter is that you're not here. You're caught up in a dream of your own making.
Right.
So don't get too upset about what stuff that happens here. The most they can be, there are two things there can be. And they both come from lessons. It can either be a reward or a lesson about how to get to the reward you're seeking. Give them credit, but don't get involved with them as though it's really you. Are you a body?
No.
No.
Yeah, I asked that because I knew everybody was saying, oh, I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created. I knew you was God. So that's the starting point. So if that's true, my body is caught up in level 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a dream, a fantasy, an hallucination. The difference about me now is my eyes are open and I give it its due, but it's a play. I'm into Shakespeare now, right? Right? This is not new from Jim, is it?
No.
So, do you get upset when somebody's getting murdered in the movie? You give it
No.
its due, but you're up there eating popcorn. Am I lying?
No.
No.
It's a whole different perspective on it now, isn't it?
Yes.
Don't play it cheap, but it is cumulatively all it can be at best is a lesson. Thanks to the Holy Spirit, because when you said, I want to learn this, Spirit said, great, let me give you some opportunities to learn. And what's the first step in how you respond to stuff now? Be still, let go, and let God
God.
show you, tell you what to do. A healed mind does not plan. It listens to the plans given it through a wisdom not its own. When I decide now, it's not Jim's decision. That's why y'all all think Jim's crazy, right?
No.
And yet you keep coming back. Who's the crazy one now?
I want to be crazier.
How we doing?
Good.
Thank you.
Right. Let's move into our lesson for tonight. It's lesson 225 on page 404.
Mhm.
And the title of the lesson is God is my Father and his Son loves him.
That's, yeah.
Well, make sure it may be helpful. Let me give you context. It's a two-parter, okay? Lesson 2224 yesterday said what? Somebody read that one.
God is my Father and he loves his Son.
And tonight we're going to say God is my Father and his Son loves him, right?
Yes.
Just so you have the whole context of it as we go into our reading and meditation period. Sherilyn, you want to read that description
Lesson.
there on 225 tonight?
Are you talking about lesson 225?
Yes, ma'am, on
Okay.
404. Mhm.
God is my Father, and his Son loves him. Father, I must return your love for me, for giving and receiving are the same, and you have given all your love to me. I must return it, for I want it mine in full awareness, blazing in my mind and keeping it within its kindly light, inviolate, beloved, with fear behind and only peace ahead. How still the way your loving Son is led along to you. Brother, we find that stillness now. The way is open. Now we follow it in peace together. You have reached your hand to me, and I will never leave you. We are one, and it is but this oneness that we seek as we accomplish these few final steps which end a journey that was not begun.
Let's do our meditation period and then see if you have any other comments. I'll put on some music here. Let's see what I can do. And share screen. God is my Father. I don't know. And
his
he
son
loves his son. That was 224. And tonight, God is my Father, and his son loves him. We might say, I don't know, sometimes I do, and then there are times when I wish he'd make stuff go right for me,
Mhm.
right? If he was really a good God, he wouldn't give me make me go through all these difficult times, right?
Right.
Who defined what a difficult time was for you?
Me.
You do? I do?
Based on what ideology? The
Ego.
ideology that the world exists to support your little old puny activity?
Yep.
Who would come up with a purpose like that? It starts with a
E.
I will.
So just relax, folks, and keep saying you're in good hands, okay?
Okay.
Goldstein.
All right, I'm going to let that go because, and even on 401, the special theme of what is forgiveness, there's so much in every paragraph there,
Right.
but you'll be reading it every day now, right?
Right.
Right.
So it'll give you a chance to kind of go over it again and see if you get more insights. And I like paragraph 3 where it talked about what an unforgiving thought does. And you know, when you get angry, you're crazy, right?
Yes.
So, are you a good decision maker when you're crazy?
Oh, no.
So, the first thing I have to do is be still so I don't make my decisions based on craziness. You ever been with someone for, I don't know, 20 years and they're your best friend, maybe even your best lover, and they do something wrong, quote unquote, and you say, "You never loved me." Is that reasonable?
No.
Maybe they don't, but I mean, is that their track record?
No.
And yet, are we willing to throw all of those pros aside for one moment of
Craziness.
this? You don't love me. Does that make sense?
No.
No.
So read that and see if that's you about what an unforgiving thought does. But not necessarily tonight. Let's move over. We got a few minutes. I want to see how you're doing with the manual for teachers, okay? We're on page 7 in the manual. We're on question 3. What are the levels of teaching? Remember, question 1 was who are God's teachers? And who did Jesus say they were?
We are.
We are.
Page are we on, Jim?
We're on page, well, I'm referring to page 3 right now. Who are God's teachers?
We are.
He didn't say you were. He didn't say we are. What'd he say now?
Anyone who chooses to be one.
All right. Do you see how I can mess with you, Nancy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, what is it that makes us different? I mean, what's the scope of we that you were referring to? Is it like-minded people? That's why I
No,
wanted to make sure we're in the right context here.
all
Make
people.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, who are God's teachers? Anyone who chooses to be one. And who are their pupils? Your pupils have already been assigned to you. And when you're ready to teach them, they'll come looking for you. Maybe they've already been looking for you and you weren't ready yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
And tonight, what are the levels of teaching? Where are we? Sherilyn, were you the last reader?
I think so.
Yes,
So
I'm
we're up
next.
to Ron. Yeah, get us started here, Ron, please.
Okay, what are the levels of God's teaching? We're on page 7, number 1. The teachers of God have not set teaching level, have no set teaching level. Each teaching learning situation involves a different relationship at the beginning, although the ultimate goal is always the same: to make of the relationship a holy relationship in which both can look upon the Son of God as sinless. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn, so there is no one whom he cannot teach. However, from a practical point of view, he cannot meet everyone, nor can everyone find him. Therefore, the plan includes very specific contacts to be made for each teacher of God. There are no accidents in salvation. Those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. They are ready for each other.
All right. And Nancy, please, paragraph 2.
The simplest level of teaching appears to be quite superficial. It consists of what seem to be very casual encounters, a chance meeting of two apparent strangers in an elevator, a child who is not looking where he is going, running into an adult by chance, two students happening to walk home together. These are not chance encounters. Each of them has the potential for becoming a teaching learning situation. Perhaps the seeming strangers in the elevator will smile to one another. Perhaps the adult will not scold the child for bumping into him. Perhaps the students will become friends. Even at the level of the most casual encounter, it is possible for two people to lose sight of separate interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come.
Let me say hello to Joanne. You here, Joanne? Hi, Joanne.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to watch you tonight. I didn't know I was interfering with your meeting. I'm kind of new at this.
Well, that's all right. You can certainly watch it. So what do you want me to put you on mute?
Well, I'd just like to watch the meeting, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you're here. We're in the Manual for Teachers on page 7.
Manual for Teachers. I was just wondering where you were. Manual for Teachers, page 7.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And we're about to discuss paragraphs 1 and 2. So what do you guys, you have anything standing out? Any questions from paragraph 1 or 2?
I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very, very true that this is what can happen,
What
and
can happen?
that you can have chance meetings with people that appear to be chance meetings that are really not chance meetings at all, but there are no accidents.
So how many chance meetings have you actually had?
Many.
Well, more so lately than I would have realized
Okay,
before.
I'm just throwing it out to everybody in
Okay.
context of what's being stated here. How many chance meetings have you had?
Many.
Many.
There are no coincidences.
And yet,
Every day.
in paragraph 2, where he talks about chance, it's always in quotation marks. What do you call that when he's not making fun of it, but he's saying as if you call
I
it
don't.
chance.
It's just pointing out.
What'd you say, Hilda?
I think it's an emphasis of the words.
I don't think so, but Hilda,
No,
let me
no.
get your comment.
No, I was just gonna say that any chance meeting is really by design in some fashion. You just don't recognize it, that it is,
No.
and so just saying it's kind of, and putting it in bracket just means you say, oh, this just happened by accident, but in reality it didn't by accident. It was by
Right.
design.
Right,
About
exactly.
my level,
Mhm.
And Sherilyn, I was a little at odds with you before, but before we can tackle that again, but you said something that was very true. You said there are no coincidences.
Right.
So how
They are.
can anything happen by chance?
Could it be God intervening?
Is that why it's in quotation marks?
I think that
Because
may
you
have something
call
to do with
these
it.
chance meetings, but how
Yes,
can
but
that be when nothing's at random?
how can it be
How can anything happen by
by
chance?
chance? Well, isn't that what random means too? At random,
How can
by chance?
anything be at random? Let's
Well,
go back
because
to a law, the most fundamental law there is. It's called
called
cause and
and effect.
effect.
Well, okay,
Every
that works.
effect must have a cause. It can't
Yes.
be at random.
Well,
And so many
it's
things happen to us every day, and we say, oh, that's significant, and oh, that's just random stuff.
And just an accident.
that's the ego
Do
functioning.
you see why he puts the word in quotation marks? Now, it's not usually, grammatically speaking, if you want to emphasize something, you either put it in italics or you underline it or both. But quotation mark says that's the name we give it, but it's not really what it really is. That's why I was disagreeing a little about that. But your statement about there are no coincidences, nothing is by chance.
Right.
Everything has to have a cause. So I'm saying how many of the things that have happened to you that you didn't even pay attention to? Because you were taught things happen at random. I'm not just asking you, Cheryl, and it's all for the group
Well,
here before we
no,
have to close.
this is something that occurred to me when I fell on my face the other day. It was a clear message that I got to do something about that cane. And it was good in it. There were no broken bones, no cut, or there were bruises, but no cutting
Yes,
of tissue, no
yes.
broken teeth.
Very fortunate at that.
Very fortunate. And yes, it hurt, and then I had to go to a lot of trouble with it, but there was a message there,
Sorry.
Okay. And
maybe more than one.
the broader point that we're making is that how many messages have you missed? Not you, just you, Cheryl, and I'm talking to the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, that's a good point. How many have we missed? And then things keep
So,
happening until you get the message.
yes, if you want to learn faster,
Pay attention.
pay attention. I've been trying
Yes.
to show you, but you miss most of my stuff. Pay attention. It's not what your ego would have you think it was. That's why you
No.
got to stop thinking with the ego. That's why thinking is dangerous to you. If you'll be quiet, if you'll be still, you'll get to see a source of wisdom that is not your own. Anybody heard it?
Yes.
It'll take care of you 24/7 if you learn to trust it instead of the knee-jerk reactions that you've been taught. Try it and see. If not, you can let that and go back to whatever you were doing, right? Hilda? Whoops, we got to get you unmuted though.
I don't know, I'm fine.
Okay, did you have a comment or something?
Nope,
All right. Well,
I'm just agreeing. I'm just agreeing with it.
yay. So, unfortunately, let's see.
8:37.
Well, I think we've done about all we can do here tonight, don't you? But
Yes.
here's some good news. You've got 3 more paragraphs here. And then do you see on page 9, what are the characteristics of God's teachers? And
Mhm.
it goes Roman numeral 1, trust. And trust is a long one. But then it goes on to, on page 12, tolerance
Joy.
and gentleness, I think. Yeah. And then you're done with your reading for this week, except those meditations and lessons every day, okay?
Okay.
All right, I think I wore you out tonight. Well, it kind of wore me out too. Is this too deep?
Hmm?
Is this too deep?
No.
No,
No, we're
no.
fine.
Very good. Very insightful.
I love you.
I love you all too.
You have any questions or anything? Because we're about to wrap up for tonight.
What number were you on? I don't know if I was on the right number in a manual for teachers.
In the manual for teachers tonight, we were covering page 7. What
Page
are
7?
the levels of teaching? Mhm.
Okay, I went to number 7. No wonder I didn't know what.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, well, you got the rest of the week to work on it. No worries. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've been listening to your meetings. They're very, very, very good. I really like them a lot. I didn't mean to interfere with the meeting tonight. I forgot that, you know,
Sure.
I should have went down the line a little bit more, but I've been watching them and I really learn a lot from your meetings. I think it's a really good meetings here.
Thank you, Joanne.
People are good and you're good, Jim. I really, really glad I found you guys. It wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
All
I was
right.
supposed to be here.
There's a lot more I could say here tonight, but and by the way, Joanne, give my regards to your friend Paul. And I'm still looking forward to having him join us when he gets a chance, okay?
He wasn't here tonight again?
No. No.
Seemed to
Hey,
really want to
Well, I'll
get
tell
out.
you one thing, he's exactly where he's supposed to be tonight. All right. So tell him I said, hey, okay?
Okay, I'll see him tomorrow.
All
Okay.
right.
All right, thank you.
You ready to close?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
All right, we're ready too. Thanks, Hilda.
Okay. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am
I
the
I am the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I am
I am the love
the
of
love
God.
of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the
am
power
the
of God.
God.
I am the presence of God.
I
I
am
I am the presence of
presence
God.
of God.
Therefore,
there
Therefore,
wherever I am,
wherever
Wherever I am,
God is,
God
God
is,
is,
and all is well.
and
and
all
all is
is
well.
well.
There is nothing to fear.
there is
There is nothing to fear.
There is only love.
There is only love.
love.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, everybody.
all right. Get some rest, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna need it for
You too,
next
Jim.
time.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a
Okay.
great
Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a
all.
blessed week, everybody.
Good night,
Good.
Hilda.
Thank
Stay
you.
well.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.